This is Thomas Lindberg from At the Gates. You're watching Impact Channel. Okay.
Greetings everyone, we are here with Thomas Lindberg from At the Gates. Hello sir, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, man.
At War with Reality has received fantastic feedbacks from the press and the fans. What was your first reaction when you heard the full album after the recording session?
Well, it's always hard when you hear an album straight after. I think it was like 3 or 4 days between, that we left the tapes to Jens, Bogren, the mixing guy, that we started getting songs back, and then I realized this is actually going to be something good, because when you're in the process of making it, when you record the stuff, you're in the songs, and you're actually doing the vocals, especially. It's very personal. It's hard to distance yourself from the material, but Jens's mix was so fantastic for us. I agree. So it was like the album was being born again, and then I could actually listen to it with fresh ears, and I was blown away from the start. Every song I got, I was like, oh shit, is this us? So that was actually quite cool.
What was the first song that you wrote together?
For this album, I think it was The Book of Sand, actually. That was the first one we wrote, The Book of Sand.
It's been 20 years since you released one of the most classic Swedish metal albums. Do you plan to play Slaughter of Souls entirely in the future?
Well, the thing is, we talked about this, with the Jubileum coming up, whatever, but the thing is, we almost played the whole album for so long time, because it's such a short album, so we played a lot of shows where the whole album has been included in the set list next to other songs, so it's almost, and that would be a very short set. It would be half an hour set, which would be nice, but it would be pretty boring for the crowd, I guess. I don't know, we have to figure out something special for the Jubileum, but playing it in its entirety, we've done that, so it's kind of weird. And now the focus is on the new record, so it's kind of like hard to balance that. It's also 25 years as a band. That's also a thing to celebrate.
Well, that was a great time for the melodic death metal bands in Sweden, for sure. Do you have any plans to tour together with In Flames, Dark Tranquility in the future?
Well, I mean, they're good friends of ours, these bands, and I think, with the whole Gothenburg sound kind of thing that happened, we didn't really think about that at the time. We were as friends hanging out, doing a little bit different music than some other bands did, but I don't think they sound the same at all, really. And to kind of emphasize on the Gothenburg sound part would probably be weird for us. It would be fun to hang out with the guys, but to play a show like that or a tour like that would probably, I don't know. The focus would be on the Gothenburg sound, not on the bands.
I see.
In a way, I guess.
Do you have any plans for a new live album?
Actually not. I mean, we actually talked about, because of the documentary that we did, it kind of like, things have changed since we did that, and we thought about, we have talked about doing something else, like At War with Reality tour, like a DVD and something like that, but that would be more like a documentary, maybe some live stuff as well, but there's actually going to be a documentary about Slaughter of the Soul. Sam Dunn, who did Headbanger's Journey and Metal Evolution, he's going to do a full hour documentary about Slaughter of the Soul. They already interviewed us and filmed us live, so that's the next step, a documentary. Then there's going to be live songs from Slaughter of the Soul on that documentary.
Sounds cool.
Yeah.
How do you warm up before the shows?
Me personally, or the band? I don't really warm up the voice that much. I kind of just do the normal, low, like this, just to keep it going, so it's not surprised when I go on the stage. And then, it's more emotional thing for us, with the band, that because we are so tight, we're so old friends and really like each other a lot. So we kind of just try to capture that energy right before the show. Hang out together and really just, I have a little glass of red wine, that's as much alcohol as I could have before the show, and we just sit around talking and having a good time, and just, getting an intense kind of pre-show feeling. That's more important than actually warming up the voice for me, because I never really had a problem with the voice on stage.
If a young fan went to you and say, "Hey, you're my favorite singer," what would you advise to him to avoid or to practice or something?
With the vocals, I would say the main idea is just to sing with your stomach and your chest, not the throat. That's the main thing, really. When singers lose their voice on stage, playing or singing death metal or thrash metal, it's because they get tired and they stop singing with the stomach or chest and they start singing with the throat because they can't keep the energy up, and then they lose the voice. If you can sing from the stomach the whole time, perfect. That's the only thing you need to know. And really, also as well as a frontman as well, try to try to see the people and try to feed off their energy that lifts the whole band, I guess.
How many crew members and roadies you have on this tour?
It's actually quite different. I mean, today we only have 2 actually, but we're usually 3 or 4. It depends on this is just one-off show. We fly in for this one and fly home. But on a normal tour we have like 4 people, like a sound guy, 2 techs, and maybe a light guy or a merch guy, depending on who's available. The thing is, we don't tour that much, so we can't really. We have the same crew. We try to get the same crew as much as possible, but because we can't offer a steady income, we don't tour as much as other bands do. We can't keep them for ourselves all the time, so we have to be a bit flexible with the crew, I guess. But the sound guy, for example, has been with us since 2008, and he's only missed 2 shows so far.
Where do you get the musical influences nowadays?
The musical influences is it's a bit divided. Some what the main influences for At the Gates has always been the same and will always be the same. It's kind of the things we grew up with and what kind of formed ourselves as musicians back in the day. Everything from the early hard rock, Thin Lizzy, Blue Oyster Cult, and this kind of stuff, through the thrash stuff with Slayer and Dark Angel, to the early death metal, Morbid Angel, Autopsy. That's like, that thing will always be there for us, and that's the core of the band. But then, I listen to a lot of new stuff as well and try to keep myself updated and try to find inspiration all the time, find something new that actually interests me and inspires me. And it could be different from day to day. It could be a soundtrack, it could be a black metal demo. It doesn't really matter. Just something that I feel have the passion and the nerve and has a little bit of some sense of new creativity in there. It sparks my interest.
What do you think about the metal scene that Poland has, for example, with Vader, Behemoth, Hate, Vesani, etc., etc.?
Poland has a very strong metal scene, and I think at least since early 90s, it's been very prolific, in the style and as well. We toured. My other band, Lock Up, toured with Decapitated the first time ever they were outside Poland, and I noticed a very workmanship, very hard working mentality, professionalism, and the love for death metal and the technical abilities are very strong. I look up to that, that kind of sense that they have. Decapitated, they say Vader, or Hate, all these bands. Really good band. Behemoth, of course. Good people as well. The ones I met, really nice.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
And what inspires you outside music?
There's a lot of literature in my life. I read a lot. I think that's my main interest. I think outside music, literature, and otherwise nature. We have a horse back home, so we spend a lot of time in the nature. That's the only place I really can relax. On the horse. So it's a bit different. Literature is in, and the horse and the nature is out. When you just have to breathe out. There's 2 different things to balance it a bit.
Is there any place where you go back, all the time to recharge your batteries?
Oh yeah, that's probably first my home, my house, and also the stable. Just because you have to be there, focused 100%, but you can't think about anything else. But at the same time, it's kind of it's what you call mindfulness, I guess, to be there. It sounds crazy, but.
And what do you like to read?
It's a lot of different stuff. People always probably say this, but It goes in a little bit of waves, but the new album is very inspired by the South American literature from the 60s called Magic Realism, and I've been reading that for quite a bit. Otherwise, before that, it was the Russians and the the Eastern Europe writers and stuff like that. There's a lot of new kind of more experimental writers that I like. A lot of Swedish ones that are very, called abstract, I guess, very interesting. You know. But then, of course, sometimes you want to read just to relax. You don't want to have, a lot of input. You want to relax a little bit and just read something more sane sometimes. But it's the same with music. It has to trigger you. It has to, get you going. I guess, get your mind going.
Who are your favorite writers and philosophers in general?
I would say right now it's like what I've been reading and what's inspiring me most is those South American writers, Jorge Luis Borges, Ernesto Sabato, these kind of old school abstract writers from the 60s. Philosophers, it differs a lot of. There's a lot of new kind of left-wing stuff that is more philosophic. Zygmunt Bauman, for example, John Rawls. They're the ones that kind of question the whole way of thinking, about the world, not just the system, but the whole. Our whole album is a little bit about that, to see reality in one way. That's what we are at war with. Everybody has their own view of reality and the world, and that's what we have to understand to, get some kind of agreement on what's going on. Not just, we can't condemn other stuff. That's what as a terrorist do. They condemn stuff. We can't be the same. We have to try to understand people.
As far as I know, you became a teacher recently, yes? You teach social studies.
Yeah, and I really want to, portray this, like the sense of kind of like understanding is the most important thing, and also trying to see the world through different eyes. Just, I teach kids right now, and just showing them a world map that is not based around Europe throws them off, because of course the Chinese map will have China in the middle, right? But the moment they see this, they're like, this is not the world. Yes, it is for the Chinese. That kind of like just try to get them some perspective. That's the most interesting thing. Throw them off balance.
And how do you see the future of the young generations nowadays, especially if you compare with time when you were a teenager with them?
Well, I guess I see a lot of hope in the youngsters in one way, because the youth has always had this revolutionary, they're easy adopting to change, they want to change stuff. That will never, go away, I guess. Nowadays, I'm a bit older, so I don't, I don't really use the social medias that much, but I understand that it is a tool for them, but sometimes as well it can be like a little bit of a block because it's too much information. So it's like you have to balance that, I guess. And I see in some of the kids in school, I see that being the whole problem, balancing the information and that kind of like interacting with other people. That using the social media as a tool to express yourself or to change stuff that you don't agree on is great. But when it takes control over you, that's a bit of a.
You mentioned that you're interested in politics, yeah? And if, let's say, one of the parties of your choice said that you can be a part of this party or some kind of a movement, would you seize the opportunity?
Well, no, I'm not too involved in that, because as well, like party politics, I'm probably more like outside the system in that way, I don't really see one party. Of course, I vote in every election because I think that you need to do that because of the idea of democracy. But I don't see one party that has exactly the same idea as I have. I vote in one direction to avoid the other direction mostly, But to actually join a party, I mean, I think the whole system is a bit wrong, So to actually be part of it would be weird,
And what do you think about the European Union? Do you think it could be a solution for the crisis that we have? at the moment for what we had a few years ago?
Well, it's hard. You know, it's hard. It's hard to. Just with the economics, it's very hard to actually put yourself into all these different mechanisms of you know, the Central European Bank, you know, going to invest more money. It's like, for me, that's a jungle with all the figures. I don't even know where to start to try to understand it. But I understand that the euro has, you know, the part of the euro thing has been almost in the way of countries like Greece or Spain for a bit, and caused them some trouble even. They probably get good things about the EU, but not with the euro, because they can't devolve the money. I guess the idea is good, and as with everything else, it's good and bad, I guess. But I would probably rather see a worldwide union in one way, because that's like, the EU. But if you're outside, it's even harder to interact with it. You know, it's like a wall in one way. And then we should, the EU should put more pressure on some of the other countries for human rights, for example, like Romania. You know, they're in the EU, but you know, what about the situation for a lot of people in Romania? You know, sort of racism and stuff in there. So it could be used as a tool again, but some you know, Sweden were pretty fine without the EU as well, in one way.
And what's the story with Sweden? How do you see the situation at the moment in your country?
Well, it's a lot of you know, discussion right now, because we have this far right-wing party, the Swedish Democrats, that went into the parliament this election and became very big. And the left, the Social Democrats, actually won the election, but they didn't get their budget through because of this extreme right-wing party being in the middle. No one will work with them, but they voted against the Social Democratic budget. We have a government that doesn't have their own budget. The opposition have the budget, and so it's like almost like the U.S., where you know, where Obama has to go everything for the parliament. The parliament says no, and you know, so there's a lot of compromises. But I think the good thing is that no one wants, not even the right-wing parties want to work with this, you know, fascist party, which is pretty cool. But we actually have to try to think a way to work around it. So it's an interesting situation, but I don't know. It's kind of like it's a weak government kind of situation. It's the first time for us, so we'll see how that will evolve, I guess, you know.
And what do you think? What makes that extreme side stronger nowadays?
I don't know. I think it's a lot of that comes down to globalization, and you know, for globalization came, how can you say it? The freedom from colonialism from a lot of countries in Africa or in Middle East. The time between that and the globalization, the economic globalization, was too short. So they couldn't build up their own economy or their own structures before, you know, the multinational companies moved in and took over the countries again. But we were the capitalist system instead of the dictatorship, you know. So that's why a lot of people have been fleeing to Europe, I guess, you know, from all these countries. And now we have a problem with, of course, a lot of we can't really tackle the situation in a good way right now. And there's a lot of social distress with that. People, you know, of course, blame the immigrants for the situation that with the economy, where there's probably something else behind it. But it's an easy scapegoat, you know, and that's, we call them, how can you say it in English? These kind of parties always grow when people are not happy with something. Then they vote for the extreme parties. You know. I guess that's what happened. The economy went down, we needed a scapegoat, blame the immigrants, vote for the fascists, you know, easy way out, I guess. You don't have to think so much.
Let's get back to the music.
Oh, sorry, that's a long political discussion.
No, actually, I like this issue, and you know, I'm glad that we can talk about it, because most of the guys just, you know, try to push it away. It's too touchy for some people.
Well, I mean, the thing is, like, sometimes I feel I don't really know too much about it to say something about it, but I know what I stand, you know, in this, you know, against the fascists, of course, it's very important.
And what do you listen when you have had enough of metal music?
Well, there's a lot of different stuff, as I said, on my iPod. There's everything from soundtracks to progressive music, to jazz. I try to, music has to have passion and heart, whatever it is, a nerve. So basically, you can say I listen to almost everything that is not commercial. That's like if it's commercial, like straight away, it's like not for me. If it's because it's underground, weird music in every style, in singer-songwriter, in ambient, whatever. When you hear there's a nerve, when someone is doing something to express, something that is true for them. That's when I listen, because you can actually hear that. So I try to listen to a lot of different stuff. Right now, it's been a lot of noise and ambient stuff right now. That's some weird thing in me that's very soothing for me. The noise music is kind of calms me down. The extreme, noise. So.
At the Gates became really influential, especially from the mid-90s for many other bands. If you could pick the bands for the At the Gates tribute album, which bands would you like to hear on this?
I probably, tribute albums, then you want to hear something different always. So I wouldn't pick the ones that are influenced by us. I would pick something else.
In general?
Yeah, I would probably pick something that would, because no one wants to hear a copy for a tribute. You want to hear something that is totally crazy, that's more abstract or whatever, Maybe, as I said, electronic stuff or jazz, something like that. That would be more interesting than hearing, a death metal band that is influenced by At the Gates, play At the Gates stuff, because there's so many that is kind of generic right now, and I don't know. It's hard. A lot of these bands that are kind of influenced by us is really not my taste. Some of it is too melodic for me.
And what plans do you have for the future?
Well, we're actually going to tour more than we ever done before with this band. We have shows lined up for the whole 2015 almost already, and people have asked us a lot about new album or not again, but we want to live this moment now. And the statements, we've done so many statements, we've broken every one, so there's going to not be another statement about new record or no new record. But I think we want to enjoy this as much as possible. We are playing this album live for our fans, and it's working out, and I'm so happy just doing that.
You're happy too?
Yeah, I really want to be here all the time. Yeah.
Any plans for a side project?
There's always plans for side projects. Some of the ones that are most interesting is so much in the early stage, so I can't really say anything about it, but there's some really weird, brutal death metal, and there's some weird noise ambient stuff that I'm involved in right now with some high-profile people actually but I can't really talk about it because it's so far away. It's going to be really interesting.
Do you have a funny true story to share?
I got this question a few times in the last few weeks, and it's kind of like, the thing is, we have fun. We have fun together, but there's no scandals. We are pretty, safe. We did all that in the 90s, the first time we were around. So there's no whiskey and women thing for us. We're pretty mellow in that sense. So there's no crazy ones. It's just us hanging out, being ourselves. There's no drama. Sorry.
Can you just list your 5 favorite albums of all time?
Oh, that was the hard one, wasn't it? Well, there's a lot of classics, and then you have your own favorites, and they change. Those own favorites change all the time. I'll probably say that try to figure out the ones that have been most influential for me in the past. That would be probably of course the early Slayer records, probably like Hell Awaits, Master Reality with Black Sabbath, probably. Red with King Crimson is a very influential album for me. First Killing Joke album, it's very, very interesting. And what else? So much stuff. Yeah, let's say Restless and Wild with Accept. That was one of the first records I got. That's a brilliant album.
What's the meaning of life?
Meaning of life? Yeah, haven't I told that already? Well, it's. Yeah, I did tell you. It's about trying to enjoy life through different perspectives all the time. see the world, not like this. That's the meaning.
Give a message to your friends.
In Ireland or for everybody?
For everybody.
For everybody, yeah. All the fans around the world for At the Gates, we're happy to be here and we're happy to come to your town, play a show, because we're enjoying ourselves so much right now. Thanks for being there.